Hey everyone, and thanks for checking out today's 5 Minutes of Hope. This is again Pastor Dave from St. John Lutheran Church in Woodbury, Minnesota. And I hope and pray that this video finds you well on at least what is for us here in Minnesota a beautiful day in the 50s. Sun is shining, very much feels like spring out there. In fact, I don't know if you can hear it, but there's a sound of someone tuning up and getting their lawnmower ready to go for whenever the grass starts growing. And so again, we're happy you're checking this out again on Monday, March 30th. And just want to remind you, along with these daily devotions, you can check out all the online resources that we've been putting out there. Our Sunday worship services, our Wednesday worship services, Bible studies, resources for kids. All of that can be found on our website, stjohnwoodbury.org, and then click on the worship and Bible studies tab. And again, you can just check out all the videos, all the resources that we're trying to put out during this very unusual time. Now, if you've been tracking along with these daily devotions, with these 5 minutes of hope, you'll know that we've been looking at just a handful. There's certainly many more that you can find throughout the Bible, but a handful of different disasters and calamities in the scriptures to look at what these did to people, but even more importantly, how they impacted their faith. How these disasters, how these calamities impacted people's connections with God. And today we're going to move on from that, and we're going to move on to a book, a little known book, at least a very little read, I would say, book of the Bible called the Book of Lamentations. And it's found in the Old Testament. Now, again, if you've been tracking along, if you're connected to St. John or you've been tracking along with the online sermons, you'll probably know that we just wrapped up our about month and a half sermon series on Sundays that we did in the book of Habakkuk. Again, that was another little known, very little, small, short Old Testament book. It's one of the minor prophets. But in this book of Habakkuk, it's a dialogue between the prophet and God. And in this book, God tells Habakkuk that he is going to judge his people, the Israelites, the people of Jerusalem, the people of Judah, by sending in the Babylonians to destroy them, to destroy Jerusalem, to take the people off into exile. And so this book of Lamentations, most people believe, and it seems to make sense when you read through it, that in this book we're fast forwarding not to the end of the exile, but to the middle of the exile, when the people are taken away from their homes, they're taken away from their land, and they're lamenting their sin, and they're lamenting their brokenness. And this is one of the things that we've been talking about, again, with these 5 minutes of hope, that when we look at everything that's going on, we look at the news every day, where each day we see more and more people contracting the virus. The confirmed number of cases are going up. We see the number of deaths going up. We see the restrictions, the stay-at-home orders, the shelter-in-place orders, the quarantines. We see businesses going out of business, or at least shutting down for the short term. We see the number of people on unemployment skyrocketing. We see schools not in session, churches not able to meet. We see people worried about the stock market, about the housing market, how is this going to affect the economy. There's so many things that people are afraid of. There's so many reasons to be nervous. There's so many things to look at and just have an idea of what's going on. And the question, and again, we've talked about this before, and we'll talk about it again, is what does this do to us and to our faith? This time of hardship, this time of suffering in some way, shape, or form. And that's why we're going to look at this book of Lamentations, this book of laments, of sorrows over the brokenness in the world, that we want to spend this time just sitting in our laments, in our suffering, in our pain, and really focus on how does this impact our faith. And what we're going to see is that really, I would say, contrary maybe to what we would think it would be, the more we suffer, the more we're in sorrow, the more we're in challenging times, the more amazing and bright and beautiful and glorious our God becomes. And so as we go through this book, we're going to really kick into tomorrow on Tuesday. That's going to be my encouragement to you, is to really think, how is this time, this weird time, this strange time, this hard time, this challenging time, how will this impact you and your faith? How will you allow this suffering to allow your connection to Jesus grow further? I'm going to close with this thought. It's from one of my favorite authors. He was a priest. He's written a bunch of books, Henry Nouwen. I quote him all the time. I want to just share with you a couple of sentences as we close out this time and think about these words as you hear these words, where he says, suffering is a period in your life in which true faith can emerge, a naked faith, a faith that comes to life in the midst of great pain. The grain indeed has to die in order to bear fruit, and when you dare to stand in your suffering, your life will bear fruit in ways that are far beyond your own predications or understanding.